Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Strip by Sia, your podcast for strippers, sex workers, and all the fancy naked people in between. My name is Steph Sia, aka Kimchi on stage. I hope that the stages will be open soon, at least by the time that this is released. And I am a digital content creator, so I do have an OnlyFans. I create content on there for my fans, and I am a former sugar baby, based here in Vancouver, British Columbia, in the wonderful country of Canada. So that's a little spiel about me. I am the host of the show every single week. Every Sunday there are new episodes. Don't forget to like, rate, share, review, and subscribe. And I am so excited to bring on this week's guest. And this week's guest is it's a little bit different than most weeks. So I have been having a lot of focus on the sexual politics in terms of labor exploitation, current legislation that's coming out, at least in the Canadian context and the American context. And I'm shifting gears just a little bit for this week because it's a topic that I think is really important and also affects pretty much everyone, whether or not you are a sex worker. And I think it's a fun topic. I am so excited to bring on this guest and talk about all the things relating to sex toys. So I am really delighted to bring on this week's guest, who goes by the name of Shelley, and she is one of the owners of Pleasure Bird, which is a Vancouver-based sex toy delivery company. So many things here. I am so excited. I actually found Shelley's account. I think there was probably a contest going on, and I was like, ooh, I'm going to support local, and anything I could do to support local, support sex positivity, all of that jazz. I was like, okay, cool. This is awesome. I love supporting small businesses. And then I was like, you know what? I've been wanting to do an episode on sex toys for a while, but I just couldn't find the right guest until now. So, Shelley, are you there?
I am here. Thank you so much for having me on your show, Steph. I'm delighted to be here and so excited to talk about sex toys, sex positivity, and really just let everybody know what Pleasure Bird is about, because I think it's, like you said, it applies to everybody, and is such an important topic that's really not that well talked about. So thank you for having me here.
Yes, absolutely. And it's my pleasure. And the topic of sex toys and even just sex education, sexual wellness is still taboo, which I think kind of goes hand in hand with sex work, just because like sex toys and like sex work, there is so much stigma around it. Also a lot of somewhat uncomfortableness. At least I'm speaking from my own personal experience. So I'm really excited to get into it all. But Shelley, did you want to tell the audience who you are and what it is that you do in your own words and terms?
Absolutely, I'd be happy to.
Yeah.
So actually, I'm not a sex worker. I don't actually have that much experience with the sex industry. But I work a normal corporate job in IT, and just started up Pleasure Bird, which is a online e-commerce business, just in January of this year. So it is relatively new. Mm-hmm. And my own experiences with sex toys have just been through, my personal ventures with different partners, but really didn't know a lot about it until I started at Pleasure Bird. Mm-hmm. And upon doing some research and really deciding what it is that we wanted to promote, what's our platform, our mission, our vision, it just made me realize just how little literature is out there about people who maybe are new to sex toys, even where to begin, how to even use sex toys, which ones to pick. All of that, I found it quite difficult to really find informative information that was trusted. Even talking with my friends about starting it up, so few of them have either had experience with sex toys or were even open to talking about it. Mm-hmm. So I realized this was something that wasn't just a gap for me alone.
Great.
But upon starting it up, I think the main thing I wanted to offer was an easy shopping experience. As I started getting into exploring the world of sex toys, I just found it really overwhelming myself. Of course, there's sites like Pink Cherry Online where they have everything under the sun related to sex
so
toys.
much.
But there, as I spent maybe 2 minutes on the website, I already gave up because there was so many things to pick from, and I, being a relatively beginner user, I didn't even know what I would want, and I didn't want to order 10 sex toys, which seemed a bit overkill for my first order. So for me, I just found the entire experience quite overwhelming. Even trying to read articles about what's good for beginners. Every single site had something different, and it was very product specific.
Yes.
And that's what I found really overwhelming, because there isn't kind of like a one-stop source. And of course, I think that's the nature of sex toys. Everybody has different preferences, and the beauty of it is learning about your bodies and trying new things. And I'm beginning to realize that more now. It's not kind of like a one and done thing. So the biggest thing behind Pleasure Bird was offering kind of an easy shopping experience for beginners, I'd say. Especially with talking with a lot of my friends, keeping our inventory really small, but well researched, well educated, well informed, so that for somebody who's new, they have a limited selection, but there's a little bit of everything for them to try. So they could buy everything from our store, and there wouldn't be too many duplicates or redundancy in your arsenal. So that's one thing that we really tried to build on. The next thing was our same-day delivery service. I think that's what sets us apart from other online retailers of sex toys. And I know a lot of people have said, with Amazon exists for things like that. But I think that ties into our next offering, which is really important still when purchasing and dabbling with sex toys, is discretion. And the privacy around it, which, despite people trying to really try to be open and transparent about it, there is still a lot of stigma, like you mentioned, and sometimes embarrassment and sensitivity around letting the whole world know your sexual preferences and things that you're doing behind closed doors. So I think for us, making sure that discretion and convenience go hand in hand into our overall service. So I think the same-day delivery service, like I said, sets us apart because, it's despite having 1 or 2 day delivery via Amazon, a lot of people I talk to share Amazon accounts, sometimes live in a shared house with roommates, and with Amazon, there is kind of that open, people can see your purchases, and sometimes you don't know how the packaging is going to be if somebody opens up, a combined box. So for us, all of our orders are delivered in plain packaging. We send a text to the recipient when we're on our way, so they know exactly when they can expect their package. It's delivered on the front door. No identifiers with names and things like that. So the entire process is very seamless and very private.
Wow. That's incredible.
The cool thing about our delivery is we say same day, but most of our orders are delivered within 2 to 4 hours typically.
Wow.
Sometimes sooner. So it's very quick. We wanted to make it so, sometimes when you're in the mood with a partner and you're shopping, you're talking about it, kind of builds that anticipation knowing you're going to get your products that day. And it's something to look forward to. And it's with millennials, not just millennials, but with the nature of all of the apps nowadays that provide kind of instant delivery, Uber, you can get something right away, food delivery, DoorDash, things like that. People are used to this nature of instant gratification. When they want something, they want it right away.
Exactly.
So it's not necessarily who needs their sex toys ASAP, but when you can get something in the same day, why would you wait for a week or longer than that if you're ordering products in from the States?
Yeah, you bring up some really, really great points here, and I just love the locality of it, the swiftness of it. Wow, within 2 to 4 hours, that's really, really impressive. And also like it builds the anticipation. At least it would for me. It's really exciting, and I love everything that you offer. It sounds like this is something that was like really well researched, as well as you said earlier. For those who are just wanting to possibly incorporate sex toys into their sex life, or maybe you are alone and you're single and you want to explore your body further. Sometimes, like as you said, it can be like overwhelming, and then doing the research, as you mentioned earlier in previous, like it's different for every single article. It's different for every single person. So I'm really excited to learn more about all the offerings that you have on the website. But gosh, there's a lot to go through here. But geez, before we dive into all of the different offerings that you have here at Pleasure Bird, I also want to bring up the importance of sexual health and sexual wellness, sex positivity, promotion of safe sex, because as you mentioned earlier, and we kind of talked about this off the air before we started recording, but we mentioned there's like a lot of tabooness, and Shelley and I are both of Asian descent, and for me, like it was something that we like never spoke of. I mean, sex in general was never spoken about in my household growing up, and so I was left to kind of figure things out for myself. And I personally, like my own story with sex toys started probably like in university, where I had a partner where he had some toys that he got for us to kind of play with and to introduce into the bedroom. And then later on I had graduated onto other types of equipment. So I had a couple sugar daddies that were really into like kink, so we use like floggers, we use like nipple clamps, butt plugs and stuff like that. And then graduating from that in terms of with like my own play partners, using harnesses and strap-ons and stuff. So it's been like a really interesting journey, but more so introduced by other people rather than me initiating it. And maybe that's just me again, just not knowing where to start, and that overwhelming feeling, and also just like, yeah, being Asian and not having this conversation, and not like this conversation not being okay, if that makes any sense.
No, I thank you for sharing your story. And I think that's what I love about this so much, is that everybody is exposed to this in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Some because of their partner, some because of media influences, like, with 50 Shades of Grey, those types of things.
Oh, gosh, yeah. I forgot about that.
All these social media platforms, which I think is really great, how the narrative is starting to open up, and there is a lot more content now about sex positivity, all of these things that you mentioned that maybe 5-10 years ago even were quite taboo.
Yes.
It's the same for me. My journey into sex toys was relatively later in life. I'd say in university for me as well. Also due to a partner at the time, just starting to explore, try new things. But same thing, we both weren't that experienced, so it really was a trial and error type thing. We didn't really know what we were into, what was really out there. Some things seemed so crazy and foreign to us at that time. And it's not really something you talk with other people about.
Right.
So I think now, and maybe it's just because I'm more interested in the topic and learning about it more, I feel like I've started to broach the topic with my close friends, at least, or people in my circle who I trust, and they trust me enough to share some of these personal things. And I realized there's so many things that we could have talked about when we were starting out in exploring any of these kinks. And I think that part is just really interesting and fun, building a community and sharing what works and what doesn't work. Of course, not in explicit detail, but I think having that experience and being able to bond will really help people feel more comfortable with this exploration process.
Yeah, and as you said, like a key word there is exploration and process too. Like it is really like, you got to try things out, see what works for you, because it's not like a one size fits all. type of mentality when it comes to sex toys. Like every body is different, and everyone has their own preferences. Everyone has like their own boundaries even too. So and I mean, luckily, the options out there are pretty endless, especially nowadays. I'm just always amazed at like what's new and what's coming out. So it's really, really, really fascinating. And also, again, as you said, like more and more people are talking about it. It's becoming, well, for me at least, it's becoming a bit more normalized in conversation and less taboo, which is really great to see progression.
Absolutely, I agree, and I think it's it's a great thing that we're opening up, and I wouldn't say we're completely over the line of having it normalized for all audiences
No.
and platforms, but I think we're definitely moving the needle, which is great. And platforms like yours do such wonders for opening up the discussion to a really wide audience. So I'm so grateful that platforms like your podcast exist.
Yay! Yay! Thank you. That's so kind. Again, like I just know that like a lot of my listeners, again, there's a lot of sex workers that listen to the show. Maybe they're wanting to use more or introduce some equipment into their offerings. I have done a lot of episodes on different types of kinks and fetishes, and dominatrixes as well. And a lot of these types of sex work, they don't require the use of any sex toys, but oftentimes it's really great to have that offering with your clients, especially, again, everyone's sexual appetites are so different, and everyone has different kinds of kinks. Everyone has different kinds of fetishes as well. So it's nice, especially if you're wanting to add that to, and I don't want to say menu, but your list of offerings if you are in that type of line of sex work. So I cannot wait to get into all the type of sex toys out there. I mean, we're going to try to like scratch the surface because I know that there is a lot out there, but like I'm kind of curious, like again, even before we dig in, it's like, how did you even begin to start to categorize different types of sex toys? And like, how was your initial research when you were like, okay, like I actually want to, like, get into business, get into bed with sex toys, like as business?
No, I'd be happy to share that journey.
Yeah.
And I think to start off, I think the popular misconception about sex toys is that it's only for women. Mm-hmm. I think that was the most surprising thing that I came across was that everybody thinks, oh, only women need sex toys. Most of the literature when you type up sex toys comes up with dildos and vibrators, and it makes it seem so limited that only women are able to explore their sexuality. And I think that's what adds to the taboo of it, because for men, talking about sex is much more prevalent, even in media and things like that. But when women are placed in any conversations around sex, there's immediately that stigma that, if they are sex positive or they're pursuing anything related to sexual pleasure, it makes them, any sort of adjective,
Yes.
skank or that. It's just not present. And I think that's what shocked me about just seeing what types of sex toys out there, how they market it towards women exclusively, like they're the only ones that need pleasure outside of a normal sexual relationship. So that was one thing that was surprising to me. And to be honest, I didn't know a lot about the sex toys available for men. My previous partners had never, who are male, they had never used any before, and I didn't even know those existed.
Yeah.
So that was something that I had to do quite a lot of learning about. I talked to my male friends, just learning what's out there for men, and realizing that once they're open to exploring this side of things, it can benefit partnered sexual relations so much.
Yes.
Knowing what they're into, being able to bring in different things, even explore it on their own. So that, I'd say, was new for me. But nowadays, learning so much about toys for men, different types of strokers, cock rings, even male enhancements, prostate pleasure, all of these things were new to me that I've been able to bring up in my relationships and explore that with my partner. So I think that's been really interesting.
Cool.
Another category that's obviously quite big is, of course, for women, it's kind of solo play toys.
Yes.
I also realized that all those toys can be incorporated into partner play. So
Yes.
I think that's another huge category of things where, of course, there's I wouldn't say normal toys, but things that are obviously intended to be used with a partner.
Right.
Such as massage oils or any bondage or kink toys where it requires two to kind of get the full impact.
Right.
I realize that, any sort of solo toy can also increase your pleasure with a partner.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah. And
that's the next category.
Yes, we're definitely going to get more into detail later for sure. But yeah, like this is such an interesting process. Like, it sounded like a lot of things surprised you, maybe.
Definitely, and like I said, I'm far from being an expert about sex toys. This is all such a learning process for me, but so interesting to keep reading and keep getting educated on what people are into, all the different kinks out there. It's so much more than I ever realized just on my own, through my own experiences.
Yeah, it's like another beast. Like, like I've been doing this podcast for almost 2 years now, and I thought I had heard it all, but like every time I talk with someone new, it's like, oh, have you heard of this? Or like, oh, like this, my client asked me for this. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's just like honestly endless. And it's so interesting.
It's true. Like everybody has different sexual preferences. Everybody has sex. And I think that's the crazy thing about this is that it's relevant to everyone in some way. It's not, only isolated to certain types of people or certain genders. So that's really the beauty of this.
Absolutely. Oh gosh. Okay, like there are so many. I'm like checking my notes here, and there is just so much.
I probably went so off track.
No, you're doing great. This is like totally fine, but I'm just like, oh my god, like where should we start? But gosh, I guess why don't, like, as you mentioned, like in that first category, I'm really curious to hear different types of offerings for males, for those who identify as men. I'm curious about that. Yeah, let's get into it.
Sure, sounds good. So I'd say from our site, okay, so our offerings are currently male masturbators and strokers, prostate massagers or prostate toys, cock rings, and male enhancements. Those are our main product offerings for men or those who identify as male. I'd say, surprisingly, the prostate massagers, and maybe this is just me being naive and just not well educated, our prostate massagers are one of the best sellers for men. So I think that's great that men are open to exploring new depths of pleasure beyond maybe conventional penis and vagina sex. I think learning more about the prostate orgasms and things like that has been really cool and has opened up that world to me as well. So
yeah, and that's not something like really you hear about like all the time because like again prostate orgasms are I mean, I am not a male, obviously, but yeah, from like partners that I've spoken to or like my male friends, I've heard it's just like really, really groundbreaking and next level in terms of pleasure. And that's where the male G-spot is apparently. So but it's really cool that you offer something like that because like out of that list that you offered, I think I only was really familiar with cock rings and obviously like male enhancement types of tools and stuff. So if you want to go into details about the other types of I guess items for males, you can go right ahead.
For sure. I think to be honest, like cock rings and the male enhancements, and I'd like to say they're all natural, no prescription shady things that are sold on our website. I think those are one interesting for me because I mean, erectile dysfunction or different types of dysfunctions are out there and are actually much more prevalent than I realized.
Yes.
And I think a lot of men actually don't really do anything about it and just kind of suffer in silence and think that, sex is just like this. And in reading about these toys and being able to realize, like, there are things out there to help men with it and to improve their sex lives. So I think whenever I see orders about this, it paints it in a new light for me that these men are actually taking the time to either do research or try something new to improve their performance. So I think it's really, really cool that things like cock rings exist, and men who aren't ashamed to admit, one, that maybe they need some help, or even if it's not for a dysfunction, to increase their pleasure. I think that's really cool for me, not knowing much about that world.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love that approach.
And I think for male masturbators and strokers, that was something that was very new to most of my male friends. Are, well, I have a hand. Why do I need something like this?
Totally.
Hearing about or reading about stories about men who are using these different types of strokers or kind of like pocket pussy type things. Or like the sensations are just very different. I think it opens up their world into different types of pleasurable experiences. Sometimes they can use it if they're in long distance relationships, or if their partner just isn't up to the mood. There's lots of different things to incorporate in lots of different scenarios. So things like different like penis pumps and fleshlights. There's so many different kinds out there, and I think it's cool that men have this opportunity to experience different feelings as well. Just like for females, they have different types of vibrators that stimulate different areas.
Yeah, fascinating too, because I was like, I was like browsing and clicking through the website. I was like, oh wow, like this is so nice that you have a whole section, and that Pleasure Bird is so inclusive. So inclusive of,
Thank you. Thanks for recognizing that.
Yeah, it's great because, as you said earlier, like a lot of the marketing with sex toys is usually targeted towards women usually. So it was like a nice, a bit of fresh air to see that. So thank you. I guess like with that, why don't we go into the types of toys that you offer for women?
For women, for sure. Yeah. And this is a huge market. I wanted to start off by saying we by no means have everything. And I think, like I said, the industry overall for female sex toys is really huge. But in terms of our product selection, I wanted to offer something that kind of included one or two of each of the categories. So for female toys, I'd say vibrators are probably the first thing to come to mind. Even within the world of vibrators, there's so many different types of stimulation. Of course, there's ones that promote clitoral stimulation. There's the wands, which are more for external stimulation. There's dildos, which are more for internal. There's, kind of combo rabbit ones, which stimulate both. There's vibrating dildos. Oh, there's so many different kinds of pleasure. There's large ones. There's a small kind of the more portable bullet vibes that are becoming popular now. So even with vibrators, I think I listed like 6 or 7 different kinds alone. If you Google vibrators, where to begin?
Oh my gosh!
So that's a huge market. I'd say that good old-fashioned dildos have been really popular on our site as well. I think those are quite self-explanatory. And there's a couple of different sizes, textures, things that provide some variety for women based on their personal preferences. I think another thing about vibrators that I wanted to mention is the increasing trend now for kind of sex tech, which is, the kind of smartphone enabled smartphone controlled vibrators where a partner from a distance can control it. There's different things for long distance relationships. I think that's becoming really popular as well. One of our smartphone enabled vibrators on our website, super popular.
I love
things
that.
Like
that's
that
so cool.
I think are really cool. Even sex toys are changing so much, even though maybe a classic wand has been around for so many years.
Forever.
There's always new things that they're developing.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love that.
I think...
sorry. Yes, go ahead.
I was going to say, what was I going to say? Oh, things that I think help women explore, what feels good to them. There's no limit to how many different toys they can order, and I think they all satisfy a different function as well.
Yeah, serves different needs, possible different parts of the body as well. Giving you different types of pleasure is also important to note. So, yeah, I mean, if you have the means, try them all.
Exactly. The only other, I wouldn't say the only other thing, but another really popular category for women are anal toys.
Yes.
Butt plugs. I think that's something that a lot of women are starting to, maybe not starting to, but there's always women that are exploring this. So we do have a variety of toys for beginners to more experienced practitioners to incorporate both by themselves or with a partner. That is another thing that's quite popular amongst for her category, and as well as our Kegel balls. I think that's something that even if you're
I saw that.
not looking to incorporate it into with a sex partner, it has a lot of health benefits to strengthen your pelvic walls. It obviously adds some sensation if you are using it with sex. So I think that's another really cool toy that I have personally never realized existed before my
that's so interesting.
site got live.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, this is interesting." I'm like reading this right now, like, 'cause I was like, "What is this? This is so cool." So yeah, like even like new stuff for me. So this is completely fascinating. So cool. I guess maybe we want to go into different buckets in terms of like solo play versus partner play and what toys can be suitable for that. I mean, those are two separate categories. So if you want to go one after the other, you can.
Absolutely. So I think most of the toys I talked about up until now are great for solo play.
Yes.
Like they're things that you definitely don't need a partner to experience the benefits and the pleasure from. And I think that's a great part of the sexual exploration journey is.
Absolutely.
Once you can understand what works for your body, you can bring all of those learnings and experiences to any partnered sex, and it just opens up so many realms of sensations. It really opens up the narrative. Once you know what feels good, only then you can articulate it. Otherwise, it might take you way longer to discover those sensations with a partner.
Yes.
Without really realizing the realms of what your body can experience.
Totally.
So
yeah,
I think solo toys definitely serve a really important important purpose in an individual's pleasure journey.
Yeah.
I think toys with partners and for partner play are also really exciting because there's so many different ways you can use them depending on your partner. And I think that's the beauty of every partner. There's probably a different journey and exploration that you'll go through depending on who it is.
Yeah.
And that part is also really unpredictable but really fun.
But really fun.
I'd love to talk a little bit more about those categories.
Yeah. Let's go into it.
Sure, sounds good. So I'd say a really big part of partner play is, maybe this could also be for women as well that I didn't mention it, lingerie. And I think that's a huge thing that's very underrated but is so prevalent. And of course, I know it's huge for sex workers having different outfits for different moods, occasions. And that's something I personally really enjoy is lingerie, having the freedom of expression, both for myself as a woman and for my partner. There's so many different things depending on your mood. You can always switch it up and you can never have too much lingerie.
Never.
So I think that's a really important part of partnered play, setting the mood. That is also a lot of people's kind of entryway into kink and fetishes.
Yes.
Starting with outfits. It's very easy to introduce.
Yes.
And depending on what they're into, there's no limit to what you can explore with lingerie, from basic sexy lacy things to latex, to kind of role playing things. We have a few outfits, typical things like schoolgirls, nurses. Of course, there's a lot of other crazy things out there, but I'd say our selection of lingerie is probably more to get people started.
Right.
Once they've rotated through those, I'm sure there's lots of other lingerie-specific stores that carry a really, really large selection. So I will preface that by saying it is kind of a more limited selection.
That's okay. Limited but curated. So
exactly, curated. just to start people off.
Cool.
The next area of kind of partner play is, I'd say, bondage. It's become really, I'd say, much more popular in a mainstream culture with, I think, media like 50 Shades of Grey.
Yes.
It's definitely become more normalized, and a lot of people probably incorporate aspects of BDSM into their sex lives without, explicitly calling it that or realizing that that's what it is.
Yeah.
But I think there's so many different realms of that, and I won't even begin to say that I know everything about BDSM or bondage, but I'd say that there's a couple different categories for bondage toys that we offer. I'd say the first ones are more of the sensory deprivation type things, and that sounds really scary, but basic things like incorporating a blindfold into your routine. It definitely changes the sensations.
Right.
Just depriving you of basic senses that you never realize.
I love that.
Add so much into, or such a big player in sex.
Yeah.
That's something really easy for people to get into, but keeps things exciting. Brings definitely new sensations.
Absolutely.
Other things like handcuffs, another form of sensory deprivation with eliminating the eliminating touch. That is another really popular item. There's lots of different types of handcuffs.
Yes, lots of
and
different restraints. Yep.
So that's where even just exploring handcuffs, there's so many different types, from, kind of rope, more leather play ones, how tight. There's ones with bars, anything from something a beginner would want to explore, something a little bit softer, more comfortable and adjustable, to a little bit more intense and extreme ones that maybe include a bar that's a little bit more fixed. Definitely, there's some variety around restraint toys that we offer.
Right. Yeah. And there's, as you said, like there's so many different levels. And again, if this is something that you wanted to get into, like even just incorporating something like a blindfold or like a choker or any of those types of restraints that you mentioned, like those are really, really easy ways for you to incorporate that into your sex life, but also like into your type of sex work too.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, and even, I don't mean to backtrack, but like going back into some of the solo play toys that you were mentioning, again, like this is huge for sex workers, especially in the form of live streaming. So camming, these are usually often like lots of different types of shows there. Even to assist with the creation of content, your own solo work. Like I do a lot of my own, like all the content creation that I do is all solo work, and you can really incorporate toys in there. Then I'm speaking from experience, but this is like it could be like a really, really big seller. People really like to see that type of intimacy.
Oh, absolutely!
Right?
That's actually a great idea, and you're right. With I'm sure for content creation in the sex world, you got to keep it fresh and new, and always kind of incorporate different toys. So this is a huge market in trying to cater to different preferences for different viewers.
Absolutely.
I can't even imagine how many different toys a sex worker would need to have in their own arsenal to
for sure
to create for viewers. That's really interesting. That's a learning for me too.
Yeah, because I just, and
how they can use it.
Yeah, like I tried camming like for a couple weeks last year during the height of the pandemic, and I forgot to cash in my check, so I finally got my check from like last year, and then I was like, oh, this is like a really great way to to incorporate into the episode too, because I mean, because like everyone's style is different, not everyone's gonna be utilizing toys, but for those that do, it's like the market is huge, and like as I said earlier, the opportunities are pretty much like endless.
Oh, totally. And for that, I imagine really big part, different outfits. Like I know with OnlyFans, it's all about having different, different outfits, and they're all sexy in some way. And every creator, I'm sure, has their own spin and style on
Absolutely.
what types of lingerie they incorporate.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I'm a big lingerie addict, so that's something I like to showcase and highlight. I have different types of looks and stuff, so it's really really cool. And I do have different types of toys that again to go with the look, because I have a specific way that I brand myself too, so that's really cool. But and that's just like with solo work, but there's even, like as you mentioned, toys that you can use with your partners too, which is also great for any kind of content that you're creating. I'm getting, like, personally from my own experience, I'm getting a lot more requests for, oh, can you do a video with you and your partner doing this, or do you offer a video that can showcase this? So again, incorporating toys can be like a great way to sell and to make more money.
Wow, that's a market that I definitely have to tap into, and I'm learning more about from you.
Yeah. Just wanted to like throw that in there. So
oh, thank you. No, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, when I think about partner play, like that's where there's really no limit to what you can do with your partner, and that's the coolest part to me about being able to try so many things with whoever it is.
Yes, whoever it is.
I remember you mentioned exploring, or you had used harnesses with one of your partners. That's actually one of our best-selling toys in our kind of together section. Harnesses, strap-ons, those types of things. Which for me, I mean, I've personally never used those, but I didn't realize just how big pegging that community is. Using strap-ons with different partners, so. That's just an interesting fact about some of our products.
That's so cool.
Another bestseller is our kind of all-in-one bondage kits. I think those are like just a really great way for somebody who's new to BDSM to try it all, see what they enjoy. They come with often like a blindfold, like a cuff restraint, or something you can tie onto the bed, maybe like a light flogger or a crop or something like that. So a little bit of everything to dabble. Those have been really popular as well. We have a few different kind of all-in-one beginner bondage kits. So
that's so cool. I'm gonna have to look into that. That's so fun. I love that, because I just love the way that you've kind of branded Pleasure Bird too. It's just so accessible.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad you recognize that. And like I said, maybe it's catered towards somebody like me who is definitely a little bit newer in my sex toy exploration journey, but we're always taking requests. If there's special products people are looking for, we always try and bring those in, and even when I talk about it with friends, people I've met, or people interacting with us on our Instagram, it's just always interesting hearing about what people are into. We're always looking to expand and cater towards those needs. So it's definitely not a kind of one and done inventory.
Constantly a work in progress, right?
Totally. I think the last thing. I'm so sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was also going to say the last category of our together toys that's also been really popular are our lubes and massage oils.
Oh, good. I was just going to bring that up.
Sorry, I was probably a very long way of getting to this. That's been really popular, and even from my personal experience, a really easy way to increase intimacy, try something new in sex routines, and it's really simple. We have edible massage oils that are flavored, so those have been really popular. There's a whole bunch of different kinds of lubes for different use with different toys. There's anal specific lubes. Those are a whole world that I didn't even realize there were that many kinds of lube out there. But
there sure is.
That's a really easy way to incorporate. Those are considered sex toys into your life, either solo play or with a partner as well. So that's my last last plug.
Yeah, like, yeah, as you said, like there's different loops for different types of orifices. So it's really great that you offer that. And I personally love massage oils. Like, well, one, I love massages, but like two, it's such a great tool for foreplay, which I find.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, like it's just, well, one, everyone, I mean, I don't know anyone who doesn't like getting a massage, but of course, I'm not just talking about your typical back massage. Lots of different parts of the body you can massage with oils, and it makes it so much more accessible and also just slippery and slidey and just like, it just feels so good. I love
It totally
that.
does. You're right, it changes things. Just something little like that.
Well, like another thing that I also love about Pleasure Bird too is that actually it's really, really affordable. Really affordable.
Yes, that is. I'm glad you picked up on that. And I mean, it's definitely, it wasn't our original intent to only sell affordable products, but as we were curating our selection, we wanted it to be really accessible, and I think accessibility was kind of our overlying vision behind everything. So, of course, finding affordable products that are, of high quality from trusted brands, I think was really important to us. Having a variety, I think, of things that are, of course, a little bit pricier from fancier brands, but also just having, really high quality products that get the job done.
Right.
At an affordable price, I think just it increases the accessibility and, less intimidating for people who maybe don't want to spend $150 on their sex vibrator. There's different options, and they can slowly build their way up. But it's, like I said, we're trying to make it easy for everybody to incorporate some sort of pleasure product into their sex lives. So
Absolutely.
Thank you for recognizing that.
Yeah, because I was like looking through and I was like, oh my God, I want to go shopping now. Like, I'm definitely going to have to like go through the website a bit more too and just see like, oh, what else can I incorporate into my own sex life?
We would love that.
Yeah. So this has been so great. Oh my gosh, Shelley, this is awesome. I'm so proud of you and for such a brand new business, like, and for in such a crazy market. It's really exciting. Congratulations to you. Seriously.
Thank you so much. It's definitely been a learning process. But one thing we know is there's definitely demand for this, and what better time than in COVID when, unfortunately people are spending lots of time indoors, but
yes,
if we're able to make that experience a little bit more pleasurable, no pun intended,
yes,
we'll definitely try our best. And it's honestly, I've really enjoyed the experience, getting exposed more into the world of sex education, wellness. Even for myself, it's been so educational, and I think that's really the experience we want to promote for everybody. That it's easy, and we're here to support you no matter where in the sexual exploration process you are.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that really spoke to me a lot when I was like going through your website and researching and stuff too. Like all of those points just spoke to me immediately. So I think you're definitely doing something right.
Oh, thank you.
There are a few questions that came in as well. So I feel like it's time for questions.
Sure. I'd be happy to answer any of those.
For sure. First one is, what toy has come out recently that has taken the market by storm, to your knowledge?
I would say, I don't know if it's one specific product, but the category I was mentioning earlier about remote-controlled toys. So I'd say those ones where you can control it via a smartphone, or it can be controlled via distance. Anything that's kind of smartphone-enabled sex tech type toys have been really, really popular. And I know there's a few different brands, WeVibe, Lilo. There are quite a few high-end ones that all have slightly different, functions, whether they focus on clitoral stimulation, insertion, or a combination too. Those ones have been, from what I've seen, the rage everywhere.
Yeah, I love that.
And the cool thing is that a lot of them are, meant to be used as solo solo play toys, but also have a feature where it can be used during like penis and vagina sex as well. It stimulates both the male and the female. So I think that's actually really cool, these kind of dual purposed toys.
Yeah. 2 birds, 1 stone.
Totally.
And that's so
another
cool.
thing I've seen that's been really popular are really fancy male masturbators, kind of like automated strokers.
Oh, cool.
So
Very cool.
I mean, typically for male toys, a lot of them are kind of manual,
Right.
don't require manual stimulation, but a lot of the new ones are like electronically automated. So
Cool.
I think that's really cool that they're increasing the selection and the technology for male toys as well.
That's so awesome to hear. Like I love technology and how it can be used in such great ways, such as like the ones that you have mentioned here. I will say in regards to like the smart technology type like vibrators for solo play, but also as you said, dual play as well. Those are also really popular in the world of camming as well. Like when I used to be in my free cams too, I was also like watching and researching other cam girls too, and they would have, so what like people can do, they can set up their vibrator or whatever sex toy that they have that is smart enabled and connect that with like their audience, and then every time like a client would tip, it would send a vibration over.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I never would have even thought of that. That's such a smart way to promote, I guess, like audience engagement and
so cool,
part
right?
of the whole experience. That is really cool.
Yeah, so I think that's like so cool and like futuristic and like just awesome. So that's really cool. Thanks for sharing that, by the way. Like again,
Oh, no problem.
amazing. I guess what are you currently digging right now? And there wasn't any like context in terms of like was it a specific toy or like brand or anything. It just was a pretty general question. So I'll leave you to interpret that. Interpret that.
I would say bondage.
Yeah.
Bondage is for me personally, very interesting, diverse, huge area of play, and
Yes.
It's personally very fun for me, and I think I love the versatility of it, how it can be whatever you want it to be with different partners, and I think the aspect of exploring bondage play with a partner just really increases trust and intimacy and overall communication. It's all about communication.
Yes.
Which enhances the experience both within the bedroom and outside of the bedroom, depending on what your relationship is with your sexual partner. So I think that it just opens up a lot of really positive things and really fun for me.
Fun.
Anal play is also really cool too. I think that's something that I've started exploring a little bit more and learning all the toys about it, the different types of pleasure that may not come to mind for a lot of people to start off. Those are the two things.
Right.
From a personal lens.
Yes, of course. Yeah, and I think there's like we said this earlier in the show too. I mean, with bondage, with the show Bondage, and like with general like more media attention coming to kink and BDSM. I think bondage is so popular now, and also just a lot of curiosity has been drawn towards those types of toys, those types of restraints, those types of equipment. And I have done a lot of episodes like on kink as well. So if anyone else is curious, there's a great episode with Lynx Chase, who is talking about responsible kink, because that's also a really important topic to note. As he said, Shelley, it's all about communication and communicating those boundaries before we dive into any type of kink or bondage, right? So go back and listen to those in case you're interested. But again, like kink and BDSM in general is just like a huge topic, and I'll probably need to do an episode just on the type of equipment that's used in those type of sessions, because again, it's that will be an episode on its own.
I'm really looking forward to that, and yeah, I'd love to talk about it.
I guess the next question is, hi, I'm pretty kinky and my partner is vanilla. Any advice you could share for introducing toys into our sex life?
Oh, I love this question, and we actually have a blog post about it on our blog on our site. We have a kind of real talk blog post where we explore kind of basic questions from, I think one of our topics was new to sex toys, how to introduce them into your relationship. So definitely a very, very popular question for, you know, people who are either both new to using sex toys, or if one maybe is a little bit more kink positive and their partner is not quite on the same page. So I'll try and summarize what the blog post said.
Sure.
But I'd say having an open dialogue about sex is probably the best place to start.
Yes.
It's very difficult to introduce sex toys if you don't talk about sex at all, even normal sex. You know, like, how did this feel? Did you like it when I did this?
Right.
So I think starting to normalize little things like, oh, that felt really good, and just being able to talk about it more sets the foundation for eventually introducing them, because I'd say it's quite extreme to go from not really talking about it after you, like, hey, here is a blank that I want to use on you. It can be quite intense.
Yeah.
So I'd say that's probably the hardest part for people to embrace. If they're able to talk about it, they're probably 90% of there already.
Right. Yeah, good advice.
The next thing is doing research together. I think being able to sit down in front of a computer, not just having one person talk about what they want to do and say, I want to use a vibrator, I want to use a fogger or a crop or something. I think doing the research together and being informed on what types of toys are there, discussing boundaries. I think that's where we can take the conversation down another level, you know, keeping it factual, fact-based, informative, what's out there, and then starting the discussion that way. It might be as simple as, you know, going through a sex toy site and, you know, exploring the types of products and seeing what they're comfortable and not comfortable with, and that will help introduce what they might be willing to start off with. So I think doing the shopping and research together is it's a collaborative process, and I think it shouldn't be done to another person, but it should be something that's fun and agreeable for both partners.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are such great tips. I love that. And
Thank you.
Yeah, like it really is simple and basic, as you mentioned too. It boils down to communicating and incorporating them. Yeah, like you want them to feel like safe and not like you're trying to force them or trying to impose at all. It is a two-way street in that kind of case. So
totally, but it's hard. I have to admit that, like, for a lot of people, it is still a very uncomfortable discussion. No matter how close or intimate you might be with your partner, like depending on your upbringing, it's not an easy topic to broach. So good luck on your journey of, you know, taking the first step and recognizing that this is something you want to introduce to your relationship. Yeah. That's a really good start.
I guess this one's kind of similar too, but I guess more specific. But how do I convince my boyfriend to allow me to peg him? Yeah, like
I think that is a very specific. I don't know whether I'm given, but I bring it back to my previous topic on doing the research together.
Yes.
Having the open dialogue about maybe why this might be something she wants to explore, talking about what his tolerances are for anal play or shifting of power dynamics, whether they've done anything that could lead up to setting that stage. I think there's a lot of other things that they could incorporate prior to, you know, going straight to pegging. So depending on their dynamic, I think establishing the reason for why they want to try it, and also how it would feel. You know, if there's things that they can do to ease up to that feeling, would definitely help.
Yes,
but of course it depends on the tolerance. Like I know with my partner, if I brought that up, it would be met with some questionable questionable reaction right off the bat. So
Yes.
definitely requires some easing into and just really keeping the dialogue open about what sensations that would bring about, and
Right.
and yeah, how it would be enjoyable for both partners.
Exactly. Yeah. And like, yes, as you said, keywords easy in, not just, yeah, I mean, literally and figuratively. Because, yeah, that like you'll have to really work up to that. And that takes a lot of trust. That takes like a lot of, I want to say grooming, but it kind of does require a bit of grooming because you're not going to go from like 0 to 100. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
That's very cool.
And I guess the last question is for me, but are you going to be, or like is Pleasure Bird, do they have plans to expand at any point, like outside of Vancouver or future plans?
We do. Yes. So I'm actually based out of Calgary most of the time. So we've definitely talked about expanding our offerings to Calgary and perhaps other areas across Canada. We just started with Vancouver to get established and test out the market of our same-day delivery service. So it's definitely proven to be quite desirable.
Yes.
So yes, we are looking at expanding. We don't have an exact time frame for that yet, but if you follow us on our social media, we'll definitely be sure to keep our followers informed.
Yeah, super exciting. I mean, and I guess like with that, like where can we find you?
We are located on the web. You can visit our website at www.pleasurebird.ca. You can also follow us on Instagram at pleasurebirdYVR. Those are our platforms where we are most active. I think we're on all the social, Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, all of the other ones, but for the most up-to-date information, Instagram is probably the best social media.
Yes.
I will also put a plug that we are starting to produce more content on our blog about sexual wellness, sexual health, answering kind of popular questions like the ones you mentioned in Q&A about how to introduce sex toys, how to use certain sex toys, getting into anal play, bondage, kind of our review of some sex toys. So definitely we would appreciate a follow on our social media and check out our website for more information on these sex positive topics.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll be sure to plug those links in the show notes below. And yeah, like I commend you for the whole Real Talk section of your website, because that's actually how I remember now, like that's actually how I found you. I was already following your account, and I think it was like the guide to BDSM toys or something like that came up on my feed, and I was like, oh, this is really interesting. And then just like I got inspired and I was like, oh yeah, I need to do this topic. And then I was like, I reached out to you and you're like, yeah, let's go. Let's record. So, and now you're here.
That's awesome. I'm glad you found it and interesting. So yes. That's really cool that it's helpful to at least one person.
Well, Shelley, this has been such a great past hour of chatting and just learning so much about the world of sex toys. And thank you so much for making it, again, so accessible and just digestible too, because as we said before, it is can be a little bit overwhelming. Also, again, there aren't a lot of people talking about this, but it has become more mainstream now. There's a lot more people, like ruffling feathers on this topic. So thank you so much for coming on to the show this morning. I really appreciate it.
Thank you once again for having me. It's been so fun. I love talking about it, and it is really to have an audience be able to dive a little bit deeper into why we exist, why we do the things we do, with somebody of a like-minded mindset. So this has been so fun for me as well. So thank you.
Awesome. And don't forget, again, be sure to follow Leisurebird YBR on Instagram, all of their socials. All their links will be in the show notes. And also, it's new episodes every single Sunday. And don't forget to like, rate, share, review, rate, and subscribe. And it is Stripped by Sia on Instagram, as well as my personal, which is Sia Steph. You can also find me on Twitter. I'm getting more active there again. And it's Stripped by Sia on Twitter now, too. So thank you so much, Shelley, for coming on the show today. It was a pleasure.
Thanks. It was my pleasure as well.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
You're listening to Stripped by Sia, hosted, produced, and edited by Steph Sia, artwork by Maria Bellandarama, music by Ted D, and photography by Ian Dabern.